Even though we all love money and food and drink and all these other things, the three things that are consistent are fulfillment, purpose, and happiness. You have believe. My mission is find a way to give more happiness to people by allowing them to do, certainly in their career or mission, what they want to do, where they want, when they want, and do it how they want to do it. You have movement makers, like a community name, kind of thinking about breakthrough builders.
Going broad is the hardest game, the slowest game, but the most sustainable game. So winning on YouTube, for example, it's the hardest to get going because people don't know who you are yet. You got to build your brand. And a lot of people, they quit along the way because for that to become something that's financially feasible to support you, most people quit because they need to pay the bills. So that's why figuring out like how can we make money while we're building the brand is a lot more critical.
I have some blue lights flashing in my head so I can go away and look at.
What's a blue light flashing?
Just good news. Yeah, just good news. It's not a red light. A red light would be this is bad news.
Blue light is good news?
The blue light is.
Is that a British thing? Are you making it up or am I just?
I'm just making it up.
You're making it up? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm like, I need a pen and paper now.
Blue means go. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't want to miss any of this stuff.
All right, we got James in the house, movement makers. Came all the way to Toronto to do a one-on-one. So what's on your mind, man? How can I help?
Well, there's a lot on my mind. See, but maybe give you some background. I don't know if that would help.
Just
to kind of talk about the journey. So for the last 2.5 years, I've been coaching and consulting with different organizations and individuals. And the first business I built for myself trapped me.
Okay.
So I did the classic entrepreneur of sign a bunch of clients up, not be able to build the systems or the operational background to support them. While that became a strain, I also didn't enjoy the work. So I was teaching people to build their businesses from zero to hero, if you like. And I didn't actually think about enough my ideal customer. And so I signed up customers who drained my energy. And so it was difficult for me to then let go of the business because I built it to a point where people would approach me, they would ask me to help them, but I was trying to back out. So by the end of 2021, I was really backpedaling out of the business and thinking about what am I going to do now? Because while this is not a failure, it's made hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not what I want to do. It's not the dream I had for myself when I thought about a fulfilling and free life. I wanted to do the things I loved with the people I wanted, when I wanted, where I wanted, and it was none of those things. It tended to trap me in the house, in my little home office, and I needed to find a way to kind of break out of that. So my solution was, stop. Don't fix this. If you're not enjoying it, seek joy, close this down. And so by April 2021 I kind of let go of my final client, transitioned her into another coach's environment so she could be taken care of. And then I went into, okay, what's next? September 22, I was like, oh, okay, I know it's just to take one step towards corporate life, back to the people where I know them the most, I've got the biggest network, and I can help them navigate their careers rather than help people build businesses. Even though I have that skill set now, help people with their career, whatever it is they want to do. So I called it Career and Mission Growth, and I just help people grow, transition, transform to whatever the next for them. And for most people, even though we all love money and food and drink and all these other things, the three things that are consistent are fulfillment, purpose, and happiness. So what I'll hear routinely over and over with every client or prospect I speak to is they're the three things they want.
Yeah.
So my mission, like you have believe, my mission is to find a way to give more happiness to people by allowing them to do, certainly in their career or mission, what they want to do, where they want, when they want, and do it how they want to do it. And so that's what I'm working on.
I love it. No. Cool. Harder to do in the corporate environment for sure, but I love it. I think so many people in corporate are not feeling fulfilled and happy and on mission and are struggling, so they need you.
Yeah. It's been my early experience is the amount of pain and denial going on. But I was also that person. That's a younger version of me. As a general manager of a large software company, I felt those emotions. And I also lived in denial. And so it wasn't until I invested in my own coaching. I worked with someone we both know, Brendan Bouchard. He was kind of my coach. And spent a year in his company, but also working with his coaches and figuring out personally what was it for me and how could I develop myself professionally. And at the back of that, it was like, okay, now I know how to take care of me, and I've got to make some bold moves. And so I had to make that bold move of leaving the attractive salary. And like a lot of my clients, we talk about it as the check in the chair. You get trapped by that salary and the dining room you don't use and the double garage you don't use and just all the niceties of being on a corporate ladder. Mm-hmm. But the day-by-day grind of operationally being in those environments, most people are not enjoying that. And so my mission is to help free them from that. They can enjoy that in that environment. And I became certainly a lot more carefree with coaching than when I was not being coached. So when I was not being coached, it was all about the external world. But when I was being coached, it was all about me. It's like, I need to take care of what I can control, and then what can I influence that's going to make a difference in my external world so I don't feel grotty.
What's grotty?
Grotty? That's a British word for misery.
Okay, perfect. I'm learning something new. Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, how can I help? Where are you at? What can I give you some feedback on?
So I launched an on-demand course in November. So Black Friday, I ran a little promo for that week to get a few clients in to see if people would buy this in an on-demand environment. And so 3 people did, and then one of those people transferred to a one-to-one coaching environment with me. And so that was the beginnings of, oh, okay, I can replicate the successes of the first business in this business on a one-to-one model. So let's test how many one-to-one clients could I get. And so January, she signed up. And since that time, I've added another 15 people who are all on a 90-day, 12-week program. My challenge now is one of time. Mm-hmm. How do I transition this to a one-to-many model? How do I balance the business so the way that it doesn't do what the first business to me, which is constrain me?
Yeah.
I'm now looking for solutions to what's the transition path for me to go to a one-to-many model. Do my clients want that in the format? And then what are the things I need to build to make that successful? So operationally, how do I need to do that? But what does the product need to look like? I saw you talk about Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And I love Dan Sullivan and what Bab Sullivan, what they've done in their environment to create this one-to-many environment. I always think maybe that's where I'll be, where Dan is in his 70s, I'll be in my 70s, having this legacy of there's all of this free content of how you do this, and on a one-to-many basis, but there is this ability to be close in mastermind groups. So I'd love to be able to figure that transition out now, from one-to-one, for what I'm doing, how do I take it one-to-many, how do I create masterminds? I'd love to do a live event and pull everybody I've ever worked with together, maybe in Dallas or another city, and think about how do we just give them 2 days of excellent value while we're there, so they walk away and they are in charge of their career and their mission, and they know for themselves and for their families exactly where they're going.
Awesome. So there's a couple ways to do it, and then which one you pick is really a hard question. Which one do you want to do? Because which one could work? All of them. Which one will work is the one that you actually feel most aligned to and connected with. So option 1 is you just keep going as you're going and you keep increasing your prices, which then you limit who you can work with. It's going to now become, C-suite or up and coming to be able to afford your rates because now you're going up. That's inherently limited. Whatever your upper cap is, 20 clients at a time, 30 clients at a time, but you're not doing 400 clients one-on-one at a time. Just not feasible. There's an upper limit to that. So you could build a $300,000-$400,000 a year consulting business as a solo entrepreneur with 1 or 2 kind of virtual people on your team, and it's highly profitable. It can be highly fulfilling. It's not scaled.
You just described the first business and the way this is going.
Yeah.
That's where it will land.
Yeah.
I already predicted. That's exactly the size, the shape, and how it will operate.
And it's a great starting point because now you have money coming in. So you're not just, I don't know where money's coming from, right? So now you've got that. So great. And for some people, that's actually enough. For some people, once they hit $300,000-$400,000 a year, their ambition shrinks. It's like, this is actually a pretty good life. And so no judgment, if that's what you actually want to create. But you've already been there before, you know that that's not what you want to create.
Nope.
So that's step 1. 2 is you find a way to, if you want to keep a small number of clients, you find a way to tack on to their success. It's a little harder in the corporate world. In the entrepreneurial world, it's like you take a piece of their business. So you keep working with the 20 people, 30 people, but you're going to own 5% of the company. And that's how you scale, because as they grow their businesses, you own 5% of this business. And so you meeting with them once a week or every 2 weeks or whatever the cadence is going to be has much higher upside because you have that equity piece. You could still take your fees for coaching them, but it's fee plus equity, and the equity is the real upside.
Okay.
In the corporate world's harder because there's no business, but does it tie to performance, percentage of salary, if they get an upgrade, if they get a raise, do you get a piece of the raise kind of thing? Like you're basically with them for longer than a 90-day period. You're picking horses to bet on to say, I love these people and I want to work with them for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And you share on the upside all along the way, right? It might alter how you change your program, so it's not just 90 days in and out, but for what you do, they still need you in a year and in 2 years.
Yes.
Because now they have new challenges and new life situations and a new boss, so they move to a new company and all of a sudden, you know, they need all those things again. Even if you're just reminding them of the things that you already taught them 2 years ago, they need that ongoing reminder and they need the sounding board as well. So you could position it as 90 days in and out, or you could realize that, hey, this could also be an ongoing thing for people. If you're great at what you do, they should be coming back a year later and say, hey, keep helping me. Whether that's feasible to have a piece of their salary or some kind of performance related thing, it's easier in the entrepreneurial world, but that's another model to consider. The third one is you have coaches underneath you. So James is it's a law firm model, right? James is the senior partner, and then you got associates underneath you.
Yes.
And you're the one charging $2,000 an hour, and they're charging $500 an hour, or whatever the model looks like, right? To make that work, you have to love mentoring and training people, right? So it's less client delivery and more mentoring your team. So if you love mentoring team more than you love working with clients, you still have your clients, your roster, but it's really about bringing these people up underneath you.
Okay.
Right? The next model is one-to-many, which is what you brought up at the start. So whether it's a Dan Sullivan model where you have in-person meetings and Zoom, or something like Movement Makers where you're creating a community around the course and going deeper on the training, you're coming up and doing your training, and then you have 100, 1,000, 10,000, however many people in the room that who've bought into your program. That can facilitate to then workshops and one-on-ones and live events and bigger things within there. There is a tremendous value in people getting to know each other, especially in the corporate world. And so there is a huge value in the masterminding, whether it's in person or even virtual on Zoom. Even here, we're doing a little mini mastermind. You're up first, so we're here talking, but the others are masterminding downstairs. You go join them after. And you get to meet other people who are kind of doing similar things. And there's the let's learn from Evan, cool, but there's also get to connect with each other. Same thing in Movement Makers, it's the let's learn from Evan for the first 40 minutes or whatever it is, and then it's breakout rooms to connect with each other because a lot of great stuff happens. So if you love facilitating and love setting up introductions and connections for people, and it doesn't have to all be about James, then that's a good model as well. Right? So in Movement Makers, I found, people love me, but they love talking to each other, so let's facilitate that too, instead of just me talking for 85 minutes. And then the last one is massive scale, where you're looking at YouTube videos, you're looking at books. It's a lot of micro transactions instead of a few bigger transactions. You have a topic that's big enough to go. Like, who doesn't have I guess all the entrepreneurs don't have jobs, but a lot of people have jobs. A lot of people have careers. A lot of people are struggling with purpose and happiness and fulfillment, all the things you talked about. So there's that upside possibility to, hey, I want to build a channel with 1 million subscribers, and I want to make money off of sponsorships and brand deals and advertising revenue and book deals and selling low ticket things to many people. So those are some options. What did that mix?
so the only one in there that I can say that's not the path I'm looking at is the mentoring and training of a large group of coaches.
Okay.
I'm very comfortable to pick up 2 or 3 assistant coaches who would then do that as their function. So I think about, I talked about Brendan and my relationship with him. He has a lady, Lauren Giorno, you may know Lauren, and Lauren has the team of coaches. So a lot of Brendan's work is actually with Lauren, and Lauren then disseminates and trains the organization. So I see that as a model that I could use that way. So all the rest of it, yes. And I would like to kind of improvise on that and tack on. I'd also want the ability to speak on stage. You know, it's how we met in September 2019. I saw you on stage, Ed, and that's what I'd like to do as well, is have that as another stream in addition to all the other things you said. So my question is now, from where I am in one-to-one, coaching a group of maybe 15 people, and then I just kind of deploy Jeff Walker's methodology of, you can find 15, you'll find another 15.
Yep.
And I'm absolutely trusting that in the course of this year, I can find another 70 to 100 people. And I've set myself a mission statement of sell 200 coaching memberships to organizations before the end of 2024. And that, I know I can do that just by doing what I'm doing now. But what if I could double that? What if I could triple that? What's the quickest way to do that is going to allow me to live the way I want to do?
Yeah.
And what I've not shared with you is a couple of personal missions. The first one is, my son is autistic, and so my primary focus in life is him. His name's Rory. He's 7 years old, about to turn 8 in June. And so for him, a lot of my time is focused on him. So when I was in the corporate world, I'd see him maybe 30 minutes a day. Now I have somewhere between 4 and 5 hours with him a day. And that's a really big thing for me on the personal side, so that I can also connect with my wife. We both work at home. She's there, she's working a full-time role for herself, and she's enjoying the process of what she does. And maybe she'll look at different things in the future as well. So I want to manage that. So time is of the essence for me, because I'm very strict really on a 6-hour workday. I do an hour of reading and planning around movement makers and things that I do in the morning. Reading momentum is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm writing my book while I'm reading you kicking me about momentum, and then I'm writing my book alongside that. And then I spend 5 hours of coaching, marketing, selling the services, which includes write-ups of session notes and delivering video back to the client so that they get an awesome experience, because I want them to come back. Because I want them to take the 90-day experience and then go straight into a 12-month agreement with me, so they stay around for longer, and that's just going to give them greater results. The challenge I have now is, where do I go next, and the timing of that. So for this quarter, I could be going another 15 to 20 memberships, and then by the end of that quarter, I'd like to be thinking about the second half of this year really having a different format. And is that go broad mass scale with more video and create low ticket items, $7, $27 items? Or is that, nope, go to the one-to-many model, which is kind of Dan Sullivan's model there, of creating a mastermind or break, you have movement makers. I got a community name, kind of thinking about breakthrough builders for careers.
Good.
And yeah, I hope someone doesn't steal that, So, just
go get the domain name.
Yeah,
before,
go get the domain
airs,
name. That's right. Yeah, and so I love the idea of having a membership business like that is affordable, monthly affordable. But then also having a mastermind group, which is a higher tier. It's kind of vice president and above. These people are paying a decent amount of money every year. I mean, not maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars to be in that environment, to have access to the other C-suite members, to build their network that way. And so that's really my question.
Definitely tens of thousands. If you're talking
I think at 25K is kind of the base there.
Plus, for sure. It really just depends on your patience level, because going broad is the hardest game, the slowest game, but the most sustainable game. So winning on YouTube, for example, it's the hardest to get going because people don't know who you are yet. You got to build your brand. You got to get a great message in front of the camera, get comfortable, all that kind of stuff. Not that you're not, but it just takes time to build the brand.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they quit along the way, because for that to become something that's financially feasible to support you, most people quit because they need to pay the bills, right? So that's why figuring out how can we make money while we're building the brand is a lot more critical. So you can do it that I'm just going to do coaching one-on-one and keep my 15 people or 20 people, whatever is sustainable inside your 4 hours a day, and then you have 2 hours to do other stuff, right? Build the brand. Or you can go coaching, group, and then build the brand. The more financial resources you have, the more you can invest in team to do a lot of this stuff to help you. The more it's you trying to figure everything else out, everything's going to go slower. Especially when it goes to YouTube world, where I got to figure out my thumbnail and the title and all the editing. If that's you, that's probably not a great use of your time unless you're interested and you're curious and
Yeah, I love all that
you
stuff.
love learning. Great, right? But even me, we've got 52 people on the team now, right? Could I figure out how to do video? Yes, but like Danny's way better than me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know what light to get and like the 3 camera setup we got and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Could I figure it out? Is it interesting? Yes. But I'm a naturally curious person. But you can, we can apply our creativity to problems that are much more aligned with our mission than you fiddling around with a YouTube thumbnail as your hour of problem-solving time.
Yeah.
Right? So in general, I would say you start with your one-on-ones, then you go to your groups, and then you go broad. You can still start broad now, but it's not a major investment yet because you have so much financial opportunity in the second step that then allows you to hire a team to help you with the brand building and do all the stuff that you don't like to do.
Yeah.
That's a logical way to do it. If your heart say no, I want to just go that first. Like we can make it work, right? But if you were to go, you've got 15 people now.
15, yeah.
So and they're on a 90-day cycle.
Some of them are on 12-month because they're C-suite. So the C-suite people sign up longer. So I have 2 products.
Yeah.
When we first spoke on the Instagram Live, you said just focus on that core product. So I did, and I've been selling the 90-day.
Yeah.
Because I think it's an easy on-ramp. I'm not charging incredible amounts of money right now. So in my first business, there were packages of 6K, 12K, 25K. Right now, I started at 1,500 to make it very easy for people to work with me. So that first lady I talked about, she paid 1,500. But I'm already up to the 3K level. But my goal is to get it back to 6K for that 90-day package. And then for an annual package, you'd be looking at maybe at 12 to 18K as an executive in a one-to-one environment. But what I'd like to do is then migrate to groups. So put people into either a 6-month or a 12-month membership, like Movement Makers, where if they're having coaching and the group experience too, then obviously there's a higher fee. But if they're just in a membership, then I can reduce that dramatically and open it up to a bigger group. So you still have a lot of senior people turn up into that call, but you'd also have a lot of junior people too who currently wouldn't necessarily want to invest thousands of dollars with me if they're not even a manager there. If they're an individual contributor in what they do, so they work in a product or service business and they're just doing a function, they might not want to take any of their paycheck and give me thousands of it. Mm-hmm. My target is really director and above. I want to help senior managers get to that director level, but I want to make sure that the people in the group, everybody's had, I call it seen a bit of life.
For sure.
So they've got plenty of experience. Because I want that mastermind to have the value of exactly what you said. When we turn up in a room together, I don't want anyone to feel out of their depth. I want people to be able to say, just like with this experience of walking in here this morning, I meet 3 people and they're already giving me tons of ideas in the first 5 minutes. I want that same experience for clients when they come to a live mastermind event or a community event where it's the people around you that are going to make the biggest difference for you.
And it's not so much about people being out of their depth, it's the other way of the people who are above don't want to be spending their time with people who are like 4 levels below.
Yeah, so certainly for the C-suite people I'm working with now, they wouldn't want to go below director. I don't really want to be talking to people who aren't managing large groups or managing managers.
Yeah, and it depends on the size. Like a C-suite is nebulous, depending on how big a company we're talking about, right?
Yeah, so the medium businesses, they're kind of $10 million plus.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, so like C-suite of a $50 million company.
It's different to a C-suite of a large corporate.
Compared to a director of a $5 million company is a big difference, right? So it's just something to pay attention to. Like, is there enough value for every person coming in, especially on the mastermind where they're helping each other out?
Yeah.
I think it's really just a financial choice for you to figure out what that balance is of people coming in and spending 90 days with you. It could be 90 days and then they join the thing. It could be 90 days plus the thing, the mastermind, the group. It could be no 90 days and it's just the group.
Yeah, come in, yeah.
There's probably a difference between the group that meets every 2 weeks or whatever your cadence is going to be, and then the mastermind, which is more valuable probably by getting together in person and meeting once a quarter, right? So if you had, what cadence were you thinking about for the one-to-many?
For a mastermind environment?
Well, what
or a live experience?
Yeah, the live with
could
James.
Be virtual.
Yeah, virtual.
So I'll talk you through. I did the first business, and I went too fast.
Yeah.
Listening to you is kind of good to hear the word patience, because what I did was one-to-one sold 5 projects, 5 programs, and then immediately put everybody into a group. So I went to the group model so I could save my time, and I coached them on a Monday and a Friday every week, so which was probably too much touch point.
Yeah.
So I would roll back from that, and so I think for a one-to-many group environment like that, I would still do once a week or once every 2 weeks as a maximum. But for a mastermind that was more expensive, I would think once a quarter. And the equivalent of that in my first business was I did 2 and 3 day live events that were virtual because it was all happening during COVID. So there was no opportunity for me to get everybody together anyway, even though people would have loved that, I think. We just spent time on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2.5 day events. The last day would always be a half day and a kind of integration day of let's take everything we've learned and let's put it into an action plan and actually take some actions before you leave today. And then we wrap up, with a dance and a song at lunchtime, and I love that. But I'd love to do that live because I've done that virtually. So it's a huge rush of energy up to it, and then there's kind of big drop off at the back end for me.
For sure.
I got to learn, that after the event you're taking 2 or 3 days to do nothing to kind of physically recover.
On our last one, that we used to do those in-person events here too, just before COVID. And on our last one, I somehow had a half-hour break at the end for I don't know why, and I lay on that floor. I was dead, right? So I need to whoa, and I crashed for half an hour before then going out for dinner.
Yeah,
it takes a lot. You give a lot. I mean, if you care, then you give a lot.
I didn't know you could do 20,000 steps in your bedroom. That was kind of the experience.
Yeah.
I stood up all day.
Yep.
Bouncing up and down in different breaks. That business was high energy, so it kind of had that Tony Robbins. We're gonna have a song and a massage about it, but I didn't realize how much draining that was. So I don't want to go back to that. And actually, this target audience, I don't think they want to be jumping around in their houses, and I don't think they want to jump around too much. It's much more of a mature audience. The people are typically late 30s and above is kind of the age bracket, and I've got clients up right now to 65 is the oldest client I have. So that's kind of the window, 35 to 65. They've had a career already. They've done 15 to 20 years, and they've been successful. They just want more of those things. They want the more success, more meaning in their life. They thought they wanted to climb the ladder. They got to a certain point, and now they're saying, oh, was me being vice president or general manager or CEO of a company really what I wanted? Because now I'm here. I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah. And you have a course around all this too.
Yes. I have a 12-week curriculum that everybody follows inside so even if we're talking about somebody who comes to me for interview assistance and connections into large corporates so they can have conversations, I still put them through the curriculum. So we'll talk about their circumstances, but then as an example, we start with clarity and we talk about commitment and competence and skills and intention, all the things that I'd expect to see in any program. So we'll have those kind of conversations.
How often do they need to revisit? So like module 1 is what? Clarity?
For the on-demand course, there's two things. The on-demand course is you can go as 4 modules. It's alignment, which includes clarity.
Okay,
yeah.
Alignment. So how often do I need to revisit alignment on my career?
Every 6 months, maybe.
Cool. And there's a 4-module on-demand program.
Yeah,
and a
so alignment, aim, which is creating a personal North Star, something you're going to go for.
Yeah.
And then execute, which is act.
Well, what's the difference between the 4-module on-demand and the...
That's 4 modules. You can do it in 3 hours, and every 6 months you can keep coming back because you pay for it once.
Okay.
I actually think about longer term, switching that to a membership, and you pay for that $275 a year, let's say.
Yeah.
And you just have access to it for the rest of your life, and I keep adding content to it, so it just gets bigger and better. So for $275, you get a ton of value.
And the 12-month?
The 12-week is a 12-week curriculum. So it loosely follows the same 4 modules. There are 12 distinct sessions.
And that's your coaching?
That's my one-to-one coaching.
Got it.
Yeah, live.
So here's what I'd suggest. You take your 12-week and you turn it into group content. You do it over every 2 weeks instead of every week. So now it's a 24-week program. So they're going to come live with you because there's a lot of implementation that has to happen.
Yes.
So if you're teaching twice a week, they're not doing anything. It's just too much. Unless somebody's super hardcore, which some people will be, but most people will not.
No, less than 5%, yeah.
so you're losing most people. And so I would take that 12-week content, teach it every 2 weeks, so it becomes 24 weeks, and then revisit it again. So twice a year, you basically go through the content.
Update it.
So even if it's the same content, we're just revisiting it, because now we're back to alignment again, because you've grown over the past 6 months. Are you back? How is your alignment? How is your clarity? How is your whatever all the steps are?
I do that now in the 12-week, there's a reset. So week 5 and then week 9 are reset weeks.
Okay.
So we're resetting on aspiration. Hey, we just did 4 weeks of coaching.
Yeah.
You went away and took some actions, you had some conversations, you met some VIPs. Do we still have the same aspiration? And the reason I do that is because nobody does.
Yeah.
They suddenly realize, oh, working with you is allowing me to level up. I'm thinking about things differently. I've had these distinctions. I'm having aha moments and epiphanies about, I always wanted this, and for some reason I railroaded myself, and I just went in one direction, and now you're showing me all the things I ever wanted are possible for me. We have that aspiration reset, and where people had said to me, I want this paid position, now they say, I do want the paid position, but I do want my book to be done. I do want to create my channel. I do want to create my coaching business on the side, or I do want to leave corporate life.
Great.
But I didn't feel like that 5 weeks ago, because now you've shown me the path. Now I know I can leave corporate life and do a service-based business, whether I be a coach, consultant, expert practitioner. You've got the model, right? I could work with you and you could teach me how to do that. I said, yes, that's exactly how you could do this.
So design a 1-year curriculum that you're going to teach every 2 weeks.
Right.
And that might be the same thing 4 times, or the same thing 3 times, or the same thing
just same thing twice.
Twice, whatever like actually gets results, right?
Yeah.
And you go through a year of that, and if they're buying an annual membership with you, whatever that costs, and the focus of coming to the sessions, much like Mover Makers, is implementation. So you tell them, go watch this video, go watch this training.
Yes.
Here's the content. We're back to alignment again. I know we did it 6 months ago, but now things have changed. Go read through the alignment questions again. And then when they show up live, you can
Do the exercise, yeah.
You could do a quick recap, but it's implementation. How did this land for you? What problems are you facing? Where are you struggling?
That's been the biggest shift for me, which I think is creating the stickiness. So I've got people coming to the end of their 90 days now, and so far I have a 100% hit rate. So nobody's leaving. So I know it's working because it's got that stick rate of done with you. Whereas in the first business, Monday, Friday were the coaching sessions, but it was a do-it-yourself. And so yes, it overwhelmed people, and so only the hardcore people got results with it. But what people were able to do is take all those skills and deploy them in their paid positions. So people got results at work, but not in the thing that they wanted to do. And that's why I made that adjacent step. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think doing it with people matters. So every week when I meet my coach, so tomorrow when I have my coaching sessions kind of back to back a little bit, yeah, we'll be going through, let's go through your resume and look at all the verbiage and make sure this is the power verbiage we need. And then take a look at the opportunities you've uncovered and then tie the things together so that you're ready for when you walk out of here today, you can put 3 conversations straight into place with the partners you need who are going to introduce you to the people who could then create the roles for you. Because you know, one of the big things I want people to understand is the application model is fundamentally flawed. So it's going to be hard for you to get a job if you're applying all the time. I want you to create the job you want. And that means having the conversation and building the relationship first. And we do that through the network. And so that's been the real fun stuff. And so what they're seeing is because I'm the guy who is the connector and the relator, that they're seeing that that's the way that they can.
Well, and as you get to larger groups, there's only so many people you can bring up and do implementations with. So if you said, okay, today we're focusing on our resume, and here are the activities that you're supposed to have watched before. Cool, let's show up. Okay, let's work on our resume. You guys watched the training. Who needs help? This is what we do this in Mover Makers. Yeah. We're meeting in 2 days.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, okay, here was the training.
I'll be at the airport.
Great. Biz dev show, like who needs help? What do we got? And I'll work with 3 or 4 people on their thing. But as you scale up the group, if you have 1,000 people in there, yes, we can learn from the 3, 4 people you've got in there. But then that's where the breakout rooms become really helpful, to have a smaller group where everybody gets a chance to talk, hopefully, where you're giving them 5, 6 people in a room to then do the exercise and share with each other and get some feedback. So that's how you end up scaling it. It's like you have the group, but it's not teaching anymore in the group. You've already created the course. Go watch the course. We're focused on implementation here.
Yes.
Right? So you bring up people, do some hot seats, go to breakout rooms so they can share.
And that's been my core message. And I don't know if that was something that I picked up from you along the way, but in my sales proposals and in my sales conversation, I say this is not a learning program. This is an implementation program. It's going to be intense, but you are going to have more fun doing than you are planning, or planning yourself to death. You know, it's kind of people just keep planning and not actually doing anything. Like I was planning my book until I read Momentum, and now I'm writing my book.
Going.
Now it's going. There's 15,000 words in there. This is great. You know.
Okay, so that's an easy model.
Yeah.
It's just the price point isn't as high as the one-on-one. So as you're going through this phase of you've got all one-on-ones, which is paying more and you know, nice now, to move to, if you move everybody over, now we've like dramatically cut how much we're making every month. So that's where the however long your runway is to get people into the program. If you moved all 15 into your program, maybe that's not enough anymore financially. So how many more people do we have to fit in to make that happen? Yeah. Right? Does it have to be 100 people, 50 people, 400 people? Like at what point does
I already got the mission. It's 1,000.
Okay, but the mission is 1,000.
Yeah, the mission's 1,000.
But to replace your income.
Okay, yeah, how many?
You've got 15 clients right now, one-on-one. Some are 12 months, some are 90 days. If you just moved everybody into your group program, you could do that. Yeah. But you're taking a huge hit financially. Yeah. Which is not great, right? So what is the delta there of like, how much do we need to make on the group side to then cover your, like match where you're at with 15?
To do it, the way I think about it is I'd always maintain those people in the executive track who are the 12-month commitment or 6-month, depending if I'm helping them with their business. I would maintain those clients. I actually really...
But not always.
Not always.
Right, okay.
But I'd maintain them until that group had hit the, what do we want to call that? You know, kind of minimum viable group size that the income is then at the right level. So I can focus on just putting more members into the group and scale it that way.
And how many of your 12 people or 15 people are the CEOs versus the... Or
3 C-suite of the 15. So 20% are C-suite people.
3 out of the 15 are on the 12-month. And the other 12 are on the 12-week?
I have 1 C-suite on 12. I have 3 people on 6 months.
Okay.
Everybody else is on 90 days.
Okay.
The 6 months people are 2 business builders, a C-suite, and then obviously the 12 months C-suite.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm testing.
Yeah.
Testing at the beginning what works.
Yeah.
I now know I can sell 6 and 12. I could get rid of the 90-day completely. And
you probably want to kill the 6 too. Like having too many offers, especially at the beginning. And remembering, it's just it's chaos. So you have your 12-month C-suite program for now, which will evolve into a mastermind where you're not doing any one-on-ones unless they're paying you an obscene amount of money, or you just love the person and you want to. But it's a passion choice more than I need this to.
Yeah, he already asked me how does he stay on, and I said you pay double.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, and he said, oh, okay. Can we talk about this again? I said, yeah, the answer will be triple.
Yeah.
So, and that's the way I've already positioned that with him. He's the chief operating officer of a $20 million business. So I'm not worried about the affordability of it because I know that he's going to, his ultimate goal is to build that business and exit. And I don't have any skin in that, but he could walk away with 3% of the sale. Let's say it's a 5x multiplier. He's walking away with a pretty healthy, $5 million, right?
Well, maybe you get skin in the game.
Yeah.
Maybe that becomes part of the deal.
Percentage, yeah.
Or maybe not his percentage. He's the
COO.
COO.
Yeah.
Is it a public company?
No, the private company.
And the founder, the CEO is the founder?
Is the majority shareholder, yeah.
So this is where there's opportunity is that, okay, a $20 million company, that's not huge, but it's not a startup, right?
They've done good.
So can you come in and help not just him, but help the whole company in some way? And the compensation becomes 1% equity in the business.
I don't have an invitation from the CEO to do that. So I'm working with the chief operating officer to get to the point where he can say, we need James in the business. And so if we can get James into the business, then that's going to make a difference to how
Have you had the conversation?
He hasn't had that conversation yet, no.
But have you had the conversation?
I've had the conversation with him, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he hasn't talked to the CEO.
No, because
Okay.
he's one step at a time for him. Because he's also, I think, 8 months in role. So he's
Cool.
being patient with his conversations about.
And you have to love him, and you have to love the company, because now if it's an equity play, you're getting married to somebody, and so.
That's right.
But that's how you could potentially scale. If you're not going after giant companies, you're going after $10 to $50 million businesses that are privately held. There's equity pools on the table that could be a play for you.
But with my skill set, I know that I can help those businesses.
Yeah.
Not just be 20 million businesses, but be 40. And if they exit at 40, everybody's winning. And so that's the goal: is to have on those kind of retained clients who have a percentage. I have a percentage in the game.
Yeah.
They're the ones. So for those, I'd love to be able to do some of that work too. But I restricted that to maybe, sign one of those every couple of months.
Yeah, or it could be when they come. I mean, you don't
when
even
they
have
come.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Robbins' model is it's $1 million for coaching plus a percentage of the company.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got your group training. What do we call it? Something builders.
Breakthrough builders.
Breakthrough builders.
You like that?
Get the domain name.
Yeah.
Breakthrough builders. That is. So we're not selling our 90-day program anymore. We're not selling the 12-week. We're not selling the 6-week or 6 months. We're selling the group, which is the course and the training every 2 weeks, live with you, and then breakouts for them to meet each other. That's one offer. The other offer is a 12-month
12-month executive.
CEO, executive track, whatever. That also will evolve into a mastermind or an equity play.
Yeah, I can do.
But we don't have to worry about that yet until you get enough people in there to make it a.
Depends what type of business they are, really. Yeah.
Yeah, the mastermind could be, as long as it's a fit with each other, makes sense. The equity, that's much more on you to say, do I want to spend the next 10 years with these people or not, helping them build this business.
Luckily, in this business, that's why I feel really good about the people I'm meeting.
Great.
So it's very different. The first business, I just don't think I did the classic good enough job of ideal client avatar that when I went into that, I just thought that I could, because I was cocky.
Yeah.
That I thought I could service everyone. And the reality is you really can't. And so a lot of those people are not people I would want to serve. But this time around, it's very different. I think it's because a lot of those people are on my journey or want to be on my journey. And so we have much more in common. Our values are similar. There's a lot more family orientation of the group. So there's a lot more at stake for them to make sure that they implement. Because if they don't implement, they just get stuck and the relationship ends. And so I'm feeling a lot more accountability this time than I did the first time around.
So, I mean, that's the starting point, and it's pretty, if you already have the course, you're already doing the 12-week training, you just have to figure out what does a year look like.
Yeah.
But you could do that over lunch, right? Like, that's not something that's going to take months to figure out.
Yeah, I did the 12-week curriculum in about 10 minutes. When
Yeah,
I built it.
and you can do it quick because you've already done it, right?
Yeah.
You're not brainstorming this from nowhere. You have the experience as a coach,
Yeah.
so it can happen quickly. And then you just start selling it. Like, you can talk to the first 12 people or whatever you've got to say, okay, after 90 days, we're transitioning to this, and any new people coming in, you can transition to that. And then just pick the dates that you're going to be doing it, and every 2 weeks, you're going in.
Okay.
That's
Awesome.
easy enough. The mastermind is an ongoing concept. Like, you probably need to have 8 to 10 people.
Yeah,
and they won't all show up.
I never got there first time around, although it was an ambition to get there. And so this time, I'm not going to rush that. Like, I've not been rushing the rollout of this. I've just been going slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first business was $20,000 months real fast.
Yeah.
This one is kind of 10, 12K months, and so it's a lot slower roll. I'm not charging crazy prices. I'm making it easy for people to work with me. I want to build strong testimonial that then I can put back into the marketplace to increase the value of it. But yeah, so that's what's going on for me right now. So I'm happy to play it slower this time around, just because of the experience is just a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, and then the mastermind is at least 25K if you're talking to C-suite at these companies. And that can be an evolving, like, you still do your 12-month coaching at the beginning, and when you have enough people, you can do it. You can even do some informal get-together for them. It doesn't have to be, like, I know the vision is 3 days together, but you could have a day.
Yeah.
Just, hey, thank you for being a client Let's all get together.
The vision doesn't have to be 3 days. Yeah, that was my other business. I did that.
Yeah.
That seemed to be what people wanted, to have 2.5 days in my company. People would come back every day. I was really surprised, because I know it's a big commitment to do that, because you've got to put a lot of things on hold.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could easily be a day, absolutely.
Okay, I got one more idea.
Yeah, we need more. We need more ideas.
Yeah, and see where this goes, because there was a project that I was a part of a while ago, maybe a decade plus ago, called the Judy Project here in Canada. And what it did was, there was this woman who, I think she was at Royal Bank, which is one of our biggest banks in the country. I think the biggest.
Yeah.
She was
I have a client from World Bank.
Okay, so she was an advocate for women in C-suite getting promoted. So she created, she passed, and then what she created was every company from the major companies in Canada would once a year send their top woman who's on a path, who could become C-suite. Mm-hmm. They're not in the C-suite, but they're a shining star in the organization, but major companies, right? And they would get together once a year at a retreat, and every year a company sent a different woman. And I was invited to speak. I think I was the only guy who was, it was fun. But something like that, where if there's a cause that you care about, and maybe women's, progression isn't like core to your heart. Not that you're against it, but it may not be at the core. But maybe because of autism, maybe someone with disabilities, maybe there's someone with inside the organization that connects for some reason to you, that companies could send somebody, and now you have a once a year annual program for big corporations, and you're creating these retreats. And if you know how to facilitate, you run through all the same exercises that you do, but you're getting paid by the company, not by the individuals, which is a lot easier for a company to drop.
And I have leads in the business space, like that corporate, so large telecommunication company, you'd know who they were. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that opportunity, I'd love to be able to close one of those, even if it wasn't a retainer, if it was just a paid project. So come in, talk to the group of individuals. It was for 40 people, and then there's follow-ups, and I can sell privately to those 40 people too, so they could come and coach with me outside of the community. But the main thrust of that from my executive inside was, I need you to come and put my team together and give them common purpose and give them common mission and teach them what an execution excellence standard looks like, because I know that's you. And if you come as an independent, they're going to listen to you more than if I regurgitate what you already taught me. So that is, I would be very interested in that. And it's been in the back of my mind as opening up those opportunities. And for me, it's about the work I'm doing in the background outside of the room here is re-networking back into those CEOs who are my friends, and building the relationship again, because we've just been disconnected, because I was doing other things and they've done other things, but they're still CEOs and they're still running companies and they've done different things in the tech sector. I know that they need my help. It's the timing, but I need the relationship in place first. Yeah.
Sure. Selling to businesses is going to be easier than selling to individuals. Mm-hmm. They can justify it as a business expense, where if it's
there's a personal heart decision.
Yeah, and it's after-tax dollars that they're paying you to coach versus coming in for the team.
There is a unique thing, though, about my market right now, which is a lot of these people have set up LLCs. And so they're putting expenses through their businesses.
Sure, and if they don't have it, you can teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Which I think is really a unique thing for me to start telling people, hey, you can expense all of this.
But still, like a company who has a team of 100 people or whatever.
Yeah.
The trick is, how do you do that in an online environment as well? Mm-hmm. Whether they're joining the group with everybody else, because you don't want to be traveling and flying, and now you're back to the business that you hate.
Going to Seattle or to LA, and that's been the request. Can you come on site? I said, no, this can be virtual. You don't get all your people to fly there. We'll do it virtual. But they're not, no, we're going to fly everybody and you're going to come. Okay, so I know there's money, because that's just an expense for the company anyway to get everybody there. Yeah. There were 40 people in this opportunity.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen in February, but it may happen in May.
So whether it's one company that then hires you to manage their team, or not manage, but train and guide their team?
I call it motivation. Yeah, but I don't think there's much training involved. It's because I don't have the time with them. So yes, I can go and do an implementation task with them, and I can do some breakouts live in a workshop type environment. But I see it as this is a motivational experience where people walk away with tools and strategies. But I think, well, if you want me to come in as a retainer and do training and growth for your people and have that as part of your development, then that could be more like the Judy project of let's help these people climb, the ones that you've got a ticket.
Well, and especially if there's a cause that's close to your heart of like who you would pick, what kinds of people on the track up to be potentially C-suite. What's beautiful about that is it's giant companies paying you, so they have bigger budgets.
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep their stars, and so that's a nice little bonus that you're helping them keep their star.
Yeah.
They're saying like you are the special one. You get to go to James's thing.
Yeah.
And it's an annual program. Like they come back every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened to me. When I was the employee,
yeah,
you're the star, James. You get to go to this group's program, and we're paying them thousands of dollars to take care of our people.
So you need to pitch it. Like you need to pick what is the thing, because it may not have been created before.
Yeah, you've set off some blue lights flashing in my head, so I can go away and look at.
What's a blue light flashing?
Just good news.
Thing?
Yeah, just good news. It's not a red light. A red light would be this is bad news.
Blue light is good news?
Just a blue light is.
Is that a British thing, or are you making it up, or am I just?
I'm just making it up.
You're making it up? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm like, I need a pen and paper now.
Blue means go. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't want to miss any of this stuff. But yeah, that's right. I've got plenty of ideas in my head now about the competitor market for that, and how some of it's excellent, but some of it's missing. You know, did me going into the STAR program keep me? No, I still left, but there's a good reason why. So how can I insert that vital piece of information, the ingredient that says, and your people will stay. But the conversations you need to be having and the conversations they need to be having with you so they stay are important. Because if you send them to the camp and you train them, you're training them to leave. But you have to be aware that there are other things that need to happen as well, so they will stay.
Yeah, and then if you can narrow down to say, I help like COOs, if you're great at helping COOs, mm-hmm. What are the unique challenges that COOs face versus the sales guy or the CEO or whatever?
Yeah.
Right, and then if you created this retreat for potential COOs.
Yeah, it's monotasking or multitasking, depending how you look at it. But that's you could create a retreat just around.
It's picking a cause that you actually care about.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Like Judy's project, she cared about advancing women in the corporate workplace.
Yeah.
What is the cause that you care about? And then that's what you then go and pitch to the organizations where like they've never seen this before because it hasn't existed before. Yeah. And you're the guy to help make that happen.
It's similar, but it just wouldn't be gender specific. It would be taking people who are director level now, who want to excel in their career, to be in the C-suite, and it's helping them get there. That's the journey I did, and it's the journey I know how to do that, and I can put together a program, curriculum around that.
That just might be a little general.
Yeah, okay.
Where if it's women, then I know who to target, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's operators who might be COO, I know who to target. If it's sales, I know who to target. If it's just anybody who might someday get to the C-suite, it's a little harder to pick who should be the person who goes.
So yeah, it could be product people, because that's my background was product people. So it's helping product people get to C-suite.
Okay. So then if I'm a COO or CEO or whoever of these big companies, I can look, who's my next product person who might have a shot at the C-suite? Let's send him or her to James's thing.
Okay.
And now you're charging 5x what you would charge like a coaching client, because it's going to Coca-Cola's person. And Coca-Cola wants to keep them, and they have insane budgets for training and development, especially if they're stars.
Yes. Okay.
So it doesn't have to be the core thing, but if you're good at that and you like it, there's a real opportunity there as well. The main thing for anybody who's building a business, like, okay, so how do we build a 7-figure plus 8-figure coaching business, right? Great, so we're starting with our one-on-ones, awesome. Now we're moving to a group program, and it's really trying to figure out, if you're gonna be spending your time on something, how can we like maximize the dollars per hour spent because you've got 6 hours or whatever
Yeah.
a day to spend. So how do we make those hours like really, really, really count? So then you can hire your team to do everything else. So we're trading time for money at the beginning, but at really, really high dollar values, and then try to figure out how to increase our price per hour
Yeah.
to then allow us to afford team to do all of the other stuff.
Yeah, and I'm in that place of now of building cash in an operating expense account so I can hire a team.
Yeah.
I've already got one person who can help me with web and video activity that, while I love it and would love to do more web and video and be the web and video guy, it's not where I'm not going to be able to move as fast as she is. So just kind of have her at the side and doing that work for me is vital. But yeah, as I increase the cash, then it's finding the right team members to do that, including having a kind of head coach who comes in and works with some of the people. It's finding that individual too. What I notice in the client pool is also how they're all instantly hireable. So the people I have for my team could be in my program already. I see that. So I'm quite excited about that some of them might jump at the opportunity to come and work in my business and help me grow it, whether that would be a product, marketing, sales, or operational function, they could do it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
See some rising stars and you recruit them yourself?
Yeah. There's one in there I would, if I had cash, I would say, quit your job, come and work for me. But I don't have the cash to do that.
Well, but that's the thing, right? It's like, how do you get the cash? Building the brand doesn't get you the cash now, it gets you the cash in a couple of years. So what's the program? Like if you focused on how many people in the 12-month CEO program would you need to have to hire this person?
Not that many, maybe. If I change the pricing, so let's say I move the pricing up 50%, I could probably do 3 people, and that would pay for that person.
This person is here, is available now, in 6 months, maybe they get their dream job somewhere else and then they're not available, right? Like that stuff happens. But there's always new people.
Unlikely, because she's going to freelance. But if I can say,
she may end up in some situation,
that's
like
right,
she doesn't know that this exists, and it's fine. There's other people who will come along as well too.
Yeah.
But if you only need 3 people in your 12-month program versus how many people in your group coaching,
at least 3 or 4 times their number.
Right? So like, which is easier to go and get versus YouTube revenue or like on stage work or book deals or something. It just shrinks the time needed to be able to get the right people on the team to help you really blow up the business.
Yeah.
So if you focus on, let me go get 3 more people into my 12-month program, then I make this hire. And then a million other things open up because you have that hire helping you.
Yeah.
And then focus on getting the
and I'm in a
program.
good place. Yeah, I mean, this has been a great week. I brought 3 more clients in, so it's been a good week. So I can shift my attention for the next month or 2, because in the next month or 2, I have 12 to 15 people rolling in different places in the program, and I can focus on finding some more of my C-suite folks.
Yeah.
And that would really help me. Yeah, so that would be a great thing to be spending the spring on. Yeah.
Let's go make some money, change the world.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you,
Great.
James.
Thank you, Evan. Thanks for your help today.
Let's go.
To see me coaching another entrepreneur one-on-one, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe. See you there.